The screech of tires on wet asphalt shattered the midnight hush of Manhattan. My black Escalade fishtailing as I slammed the brakes to avoid plowing into the swarm of paparazzi vans blocking the exit from Benjamin Hale's penthouse garage. "Fuck!" I muttered, heart pounding like a jackhammer, glancing in the rearview at the man in the back seat. His tie loosened, eyes wild with that post-boardroom fire I knew too well. He leaned forward, breath hot against my ear through the partition. "Lucas, get us out of here. Now." But before I could punch the gas, a camera flash exploded like gunfire, blinding me, and in that frozen second, I saw it, the grainy outline of us in some bastard's lens, closer than driver and boss should ever be. That was the night it all cracked open. I'd been Benjamin's private driver for 18 months. Shuttling him from gilded boardrooms to hidden speakeasies. Always the invisible gear in his high-octane machine. Benjamin Hale, the wunderkind CEO of Hale Tech. The guy who'd turned a scrappy AI startup into a Wall Street behemoth before 35. Charismatic as hell. With that chiseled jaw and voice like aged bourbon. America's golden boy. Straight as an arrow in every interview. Every tabloid spread. And me, Lucas Rivera, ex-Marine from the Bronx, scraping by after my discharge with a clean record and a lead foot. I was the guy who knew his double-shot lattes and the quickest route past Midtown traffic. Not the one who'd end up tangled in his sheets. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself in the quiet hours before dawn. A late-night pickup from LAX after he'd closed a deal in Silicon Valley. Me waiting curbside. Rain sheeting down like Judgment Day. He slid into the back, soaked through his Armani overcoat, and instead of barking orders, he just sighed. "Drive, Lucas." Anywhere but here. I took us north, up the Pacific Coast Highway. Windows cracked to let in the salt air. We didn't talk much at first. The hum of the engine filled the spaces. But then he asked about my ink, the faded eagle on my forearm from my core days, and suddenly it was 2 hours later, pulling over at a bluff overlooking the Black Pacific, sharing a flask of his top-shelf whiskey. "You're not like the others," he said, passing it back, his fingers brushing mine longer than necessary. I laughed it off, chalked it up to exhaustion, but that spark, it lingered, electric and unspoken. By the time we looped back to his Malibu estate, the sun was cresting, painting the hills gold. He clapped my shoulder as he stepped out, firm, deliberate. "Thanks for the detour, soldier." I drove away with my gut twisting, wondering if I'd imagined the heat in his gaze. Back in New York, the routine ground on dawn pickups for CNBC spots, evenings dodging groupies at gala after-parties. Benjamin was a force, commanding rooms with a single raised eyebrow, charming senators over steak at Delmonico's. But alone in the car, the mask slipped. He'd vent about the board's vultures circling his stock, or crack wise about some influencer's latest flop. I fire back, no filter, and he'd laugh, real, unguarded laughs that made my chest ache. One night, stuck in gridlock on the FDR, he reached through the partition with a bag of halal cart lamb from a street vendor we'd passed. "Peace offering for making you circle the block again." Our fingers touched again, and this time, neither pulled away. It escalated in fragments. A shared cigarette on the balcony of his Tribeca loft after a merger went south, his head dropping to my shoulder in exhaustion. Me catching him staring during a red-eye to Chicago, his eyes tracing my profile like he was memorizing it. The betrayal of my own resolve came on a humid July evening. host a black tie fundraiser at the Met. The crowd had been relentless, flashes popping like strobe lights, whispers about his eligible bachelor status trailing him like smoke. I pulled up in the no parking zone, engine idling, but he didn't get in right away. Instead, he lingered by the door, suit rumpled, bow tie undone. "Lucas," he said, voice low, almost lost in the city's roar. "Walk with me." We slipped into Central Park, the paths empty under sodium lamps, fireflies winking like conspirators. He stopped by the Bethesda fountain, water murmuring soft indictments. "I can't do this alone anymore." And then he kissed me, fierce, starving, like a man drowning claiming air. My hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the taste of champagne on his tongue and the distant honk of taxis fading to irrelevance. We didn't speak of it the next day, or the day after. But the hunger built, inevitable as a summer storm. Stolen moments in the Escalade's tinted cocoon. His hand on my thigh during a cross-down crawl, my fingers threading through his hair when I'd park in some shadowed garage for maintenance. Full nights when he'd text, "Come up," after midnight, and I'd ride the private elevator, shedding my uniform jacket at the door. His body was a revelation, lean muscle from dawn runs in the Palisades, scars from a boyhood accident he never detailed. We'd fuck like it was war, bodies slick and urgent, then collapse into whispers, his head on my chest, tracing the tattoos that mapped my ghosts. "You're my anchor," he'd murmur, voice raw in the afterglow, the city skyline a glittering audience beyond the floor-to-ceiling glass. I'd hold him tighter, ignoring the gnawing fear that this was borrowed time. Benjamin was closeted steel, out in whispers to a trusted few, but publicly the hetero heartthrob dating starlets for the cameras. I was just the driver, the secret kept in the glove box. But love doesn't negotiate, it invades. And in those stolen hours, I fell hard, irrevocable, believing, foolishly, that we could carve out a space between the cracks. The first hint of trouble came subtle, a ripple in the digital ether. A blurry Insta story from some gala hanger-on. Me handing Benjamin his coat, our eyes locking a beat too long. The comments lit up, "Driver dude is hot, CEO thirst trap alert?" But we laughed it off over takeout dim sum in his kitchen. His foot hooked around my ankle under the island. "Shipping us already," he joked, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. I should have seen the storm clouds gathering. Instead, I savored the calm, blind to the fans sharpening their knives online. Fall descended on the city like a velvet curtain, leaves carpeting the avenues in crimson and gold, but the chill seeped deeper than autumn air. Benjamin's schedule ramped up, cross-country hops for investor schmoozes, late nights drafting manifestos for his next TED Talk on ethical AI. I was his shadow, navigating the chaos with a steady will, but the nights blurred into a haze of longing. We'd steal away to a no-name diner in Queens, hoods up against prying eyes, splitting greasy eggs at dawn while he dissected his fears. "The board would crucify me," he'd say, stirring sugar into black coffee. "One whiff of this, and Hailteka's valuation tanks. Investors don't back distractions." I'd nod, throat tight, because I knew the script. America loved its gay icons, trailblazers like Tim Cook. But Benjamin? He was the straight-laced savior, the family values facade that kept the red states buying in. "You're worth more than their bullshit," I'd counter, my hand finding his across the formica, thumb stroking the pulse at his wrist. He'd squeeze back, ice fierce. And you're the only real thing I've got. Those words were oxygen, fueling the fire even as doubt smoldered at the edges. We deepened in the margins. Him surprising me with tickets to a Knicks game, us packed into nosebleeds like regular Joes, his laughter booming over the buzzer beaters. Me cooking arroz con pollo in his kitchen, my abuela's recipe, while he hovered, stealing bites and kisses, grease smudged on his pristine cuffs. Sex evolved too, from frantic releases to languid explorations, his body arching under mine in the king-sized bed, moonlight striping us like contraband. "I love you," he gasped one night, the words slipping out unbidden, and I froze, heart slamming, before whispering it back, sealing us in the irrevocable. But secrets breed shadows. His assistant, Carla, a sharp-eyed viper in Louboutins, started side-eyeing me during pickups, her texts to him pinging with urgent reminders that felt like warnings. And online, the shipping he joked about metastasized. Tumblr threads dissected every public glance. A red carpet clip where I adjusted his mic pack, our shoulders brushing, a LinkedIn photo of us at a summit, my hand steadying him in a crowd. Fanfic sprouted like weeds, chauffeur's choice, where the stoic driver tames the tycoon's heart. Twitter stan accounts bloomed at Hail Heartthrob, posting edits of our moments set to brooding indie tracks. Is it just me? Or is Ben looking at Lucas like he's the only app worth downloading? Hail Drive Ship, Benjamin monitored it obsessively, scrolling during rides, his jaw tightening. Harmless fan crap, he'd mutter, but I'd catch him refreshing, a masochistic glint in his eye. I tried to play it cool, retweeting memes from my burner account, fueling the fire anonymously because, hell, in those pixels, we were free. No closets, no contracts. Just us, romanticized and untouchable. But the lines blurred when a viral TikTok hit. Me opening the car door at an event, Benjamin's hand lingering on my elbow, synced to a sultry remix of Driver's License. Views exploded to millions. "This is peak slow burn," the caption read. "Bet they hate fuck in the back seat." That night, we crashed at his upstate cabin, a rustic escape I'd helped him buy, all exposed beams and Hudson River views. Rain lashed the windows as we tumbled into the loft bed, bodies frantic, chasing oblivion. Afterward, tangled in flannel sheets, he traced my dog tags, voice muffled against my skin. "What if they find out? For real?" I pulled him closer, breathing in his cedar cologne. "Then we face it. Together." He nodded, but sleep evaded him. I felt his heartbeat stutter like a glitchy code. The betrayal slithered in on Thanksgiving Eve. Benjamin was in D.C. for a policy dinner, me holed up in my Astoria walk-up, prepping for a quiet bird with my sister Rosa. My phone buzzed at 2 a.m., not his usual "miss you" text, but a link from an unknown number. Heart sinking, I clicked. A grainy video, timestamped last spring. Us in the Escalade, parked in a deserted lot near the Javits Center. His hand in my hair, pulling me into a kiss through the partition, audio catching his moan. I whispered, "Ben." The footage looped, merciless, posted to a gossip subreddit with the header, "Hailtech CEO's dirty secret? Driver dude exposed." Panic clawed my throat. How? The van's dash cam. Company property. But I'd disabled it months ago. Someone had tampered. Uploaded from an insider IP. Carla? A rival exec sniffing weakness? I forwarded it to Benjamin, fingers shaking, then paced my cramped kitchen, the city's distant sirens mocking me. His call came at dawn, voice wrecked. Lucas. Jesus, it's everywhere. PR's in meltdown. I grabbed my keys, racing to his hotel, the drive a blur of red lights and regret. He yanked me inside, door slamming, and we collided, fists in shirts, mouths crashing in a kiss that tasted of desperation and salt. I didn't leak it, he growled against my neck, as if I'd accused him. I know, I lied, because doubt was a venom now, seeping in. We made love on the sweet floor, carpet burns and all, clinging like survivors. But morning brought the deluge. Alerts pinging, TMZ splash, CNBC speculation, stock dipping 3 points pre-market. His publicist, a chain-smoking dragon named Mitch, burst in mid-coitus interruption, barking orders. Deny, deflect, date that actress from last month. And you, he jabbed at me, take a paid leave. Disappear. Benjamin's eyes met mine, pleading, but he nodded. Do it, Lucas. For now, I walked out numb, the elevator descent a freefall. Back home, Rosa found me chain-smoking on the fire escape, spilling the mess in sobs. He's protecting his empire, not us, she said, hugging me fierce. You deserve a man who'll burn it down for you, but love's a stubborn glitch I couldn't unplug. The shipping exploded into a maelstrom. Hail Drive trended worldwide, fans divided between OTP forever, edits and homophobic trolls baying for blood. Petitions for Ben to come out, death threats in my DMs. I went dark, crashing with Rosa, but the net dragged me back. Deep fakes of us at Pride, manifestos on why we were soulmates. It was romantic poison, validating our truth while torching our lives. Benjamin went radio silent, prepping a statement. Close friends, professional boundaries crossed, mutual parting. Lies, sharp as glass. Then, the call that gutted me, his VO. Boards forcing my hand. Resign or reveal. I can't lose everything. Click. Betrayal landed like a gut punch. Not from the leak, but his choice. I hurled my phone, shattering the screen, and wept for the man I'd built in my dreams, not the one who'd chosen the throne over us. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice, snow muffling the screams in my head as I ghosted through temp gigs, Uber shifts in a borrowed Prius, ferrying strangers while replaying that dead air call on loop. Benjamin's parting statement dropped like a bomb on Black Friday. Polished PR spin, him regretting the indiscretion, me painted as the opportunistic fling. The internet tore it apart, fans sleuthing my face from old Marine pics, doxing my sister's salon, turning our love into a circus act. I holed up, rationing takeout and tequila. Rosa's tough love pep talks my only lifeline. He's a coward in a suit. Mijo. Cut the cord. But cords don't sever clean. Late night scrolls pulled me under. Fan art of us slow dancing in a boardroom. Playlists of our songs. How the hell did they guess Wicked Game? The shipping had evolved into a movement. Justice for Lucas trending. Queer activists calling out Hailteka's toxic closet. It humanized us. These digital warriors fighting battles we couldn't. But it hollowed me out too, reducing my heartbreak to memes. One viral thread dissected the leaked video frame by frame. Look at Ben's eyes. That's not indiscretion. That's soul-deep love. I hated how right they were. Hated how it kept the wound festering. Benjamin resurfaced in fragments. A spotted date with that starlet at Le Bernardin. her hand on his arm like a prop. Tabloids crowed CO back in the game, but his eyes in the photos? Hollow. Haunted. I itched to call, to scream or beg, but pride or masochism held me back. Until Christmas Eve, when a package arrived at Rose's. No sender, just a matte black box. Inside, his signet ring, engraved with our inside joke, code, heart, and a note in his scrawl. I lied to save us. Meet me. The cabin. Midnight, heart in my throat. I drove north through a blizzard, wipers battling the whiteout, the Hudson a frozen serpent below. The cabin loomed dark, smoke curling from the chimney like a beacon. He opened the door barefoot in sweats, unshaven, looking like he'd aged a decade. Lucas, one word, and I was across the threshold, shoving him against the wall, kiss bruising, angry. You bastard, I snarled between teeth, hands roaming familiar territory. Save us? By gutting me on live TV. He didn't fight, just held on, body trembling. We stripped in the firelight, falling to the bearskin rug, reclaiming each other with a ferocity born of famine. His touches were apologies, soft on my scars, urgent at my hips, whispering I'm sorry into my skin like a litany. Climax shattered us, and in the quiet aftermath, curled by the hearth, he spilled it all. The leak? Carla, jealous of his distraction, hacking the dash cam for leverage in a promotion bid. She'd confessed under legal pressure, but the board had pounced. Clean house or we do. His choice to play straight, to part, was a gambit, buying time to fortify Hailtech against the fallout, shielding me from lawsuits, smears. I thought if I took the hit alone, you'd be free, he said, voice cracking, fingers laced in mine. But God, I was wrong. Every day without you is code without a compiler, useless. Tears tracked his cheeks, and mine joined, the fire popping like punctuation. We talked till dawn, dreams deferred, like the road trip we'd plotted to Route 66, or adopting a rescue mutt named after his first algorithm. He was fighting back, quietly funding queer startups, donating to GLAAD under proxies. I'm done hiding, he vowed. But I need you with me. It was a fragile piece, snowed in for days, building snow forts like kids and making love in the steam of the clawfoot tub. We plotted too, a joint statement, therapy for his internalized crap, me transitioning to consultant on his security team. Hope flickered, tentative as the northern lights we'd chase someday. But reality intruded, voicemails from Mitch piling up, stock whispers turning to roars. On New Year's, we drove back, hands clasped over the console, to face the music. The climax hit like a server crash, a whistleblower email to the Times, Carla's full confession laced with boardroom dirt, homophobic emails, threats to out Benjamin if he didn't toe the line. It detonated online, Hail Truth exploding, fans rallying with boycotts and billboards. Love is the upgrade, protests outside Hailtech HQ, rainbow flags waving in the sleet. Benjamin called an emergency presser from the lobby, me at his side in the wings, suit pressed, heart hammering. He stepped to the podium, spotlights harsh, cameras a firing squad. I've spent years building walls, he began, voice steady but eyes finding mine in the shadows. Walls against fear, against who I am. Today, they come down. Pause. The room electric. Lucas Rivera isn't a mistake. He's my partner. The man who drives me, literally and otherwise, toward something better. Gasps, flashes, chaos. He outed us, raw and real, quoting code from his first app, error-free love in a buggy world. The backlash was biblical. Stocks plummeted 15%. Sponsors fled. Trolls unleashed. But the tide turned swift. Queer icons retweeting support. Ellen booking him. Investors pivoting to woke capital. We hunkered in his penthouse. Fielding calls. Me shielding him from the worst. That alley kiss, paparazzi gold, splashed across Vogue as the moment that changed everything. Fans flooded our inboxes. Not with fiction, but real stories. You gave me courage to come out. Human, messy, redemptive. Yet betrayals echo lingered. In quiet moments, I'd catch Benjamin staring at his phone, ghosts of doubt flickering. What if I dragged you under? He'd whisper. I pull him close, grounding us. We're swimming, then. Together, romance rekindled in the rubble. Dinners at hole-in-the-wall spots. No disguises. Walks in the park. Hands swinging free. It was American as apple pie with a twist. Gritty, resilient, unapologetic. Spring thawed the city. Cherry blossoms defiant against the concrete, mirroring the fragile bloom in our public life. Benjamin and I navigated the spotlight like tightrope walkers. Interviews laced with double meanings. Red carpets where I'd stand not as arm candy but equal. My marine poise earning nods from the old guard. Hail Tech stabilized, bolstered by a queer-led VC firm that saw authenticity as the next algorithm. But peace was a luxury. Conflict simmered beneath, betrayals aftershocks rippling out. The first fracture came from within. His mother, Evelyn Hale, the steel magnolia from Savannah, who'd bankrolled his rise on condition of discretion. She flew up unannounced, sweeping into the penthouse like a nor'easter, Bible in one manicured hand, disappointment in the other. Benjamin Alexander. What in heaven's name? She drawled, eyes slicing to me like I was the serpent in Eden. We sat in the sunroom, tension thick as magnolia humidity, her dissecting our lifestyle with veiled barbs, the good Lord intended man and wife, while Benjamin's knuckles whitened on his coffee mug. I held my tongue, but inside, rage boiled. This woman who'd shaped him, proud of his billions, silent on his loneliness, now weaponizing faith against us. Mom, he said, voice edged. Lucas's family. End of story. She softened, marginally, tears welling as she clutched his hand. I just want you whole, darling. Not broken by this world's judgments. Broken. The word landed like shrapnel, echoing every slur I'd endured in barracks whispers. We compromised, a tense brunch truce, her promising prayerful consideration. But she left with a chill that lingered, frost on our window panes. Online, the shipping frenzy morphed into something darker, Stan Wars fracturing the fandom. Diehards curated canon timelines, but black hat accounts doxed dissenters, leaked fakes of us cheating. One deepfake, me in bed with a board member, went viral, twisting my gut. Benjamin raged, lawyering up, but the damage seeped, trust eroding like acid on steel. It's all noise, he'd say, but I'd catch him up at 3 a.m., scrolling hate threads, self-doubt carving lines around his eyes. The real gut-punch betrayal brewed in the boardroom. Victor Lang, Benjamin's Silver Fox mentor turned rival, had been the leak's puppet master, Carla his pawn, the confession a diversion. Whispers reached us. He'd rallied proxies for a coup, painting Benjamin's personal drama as fiduciary suicide. We uncovered it in a late-night hack. Me pulling strings from old core buddies, Benjamin's coder instincts piecing the digital trail. Emails seared. Hale's fairy tale will sink us. Time for fresh blood. Climax crashed on a muggy June evening. Haleteka's annual summit at the Javits. The hall buzzed, suits and sequins. Keynotes on innovating inclusion. Benjamin keynote. Me in the green room prepping his slides. Our ritual kiss interrupted by Mitch's frantic knock. Boards moving. Now. Emergency vote in the lounge. We bolted. Corridors a blur. Bursting into a den of cigar smoke and betrayal. Victor at the head. Smug as sin. Proxies nodding like bobbleheads. Benjamin. Son stepped down gracefully. This interlude of yours has cost us millions. The room spun. Benjamin's face drained, then ignited that CO fire I'd fallen for. Interlude? Victor, you treacherous fuck. You leaked that video, sicked your dog on us. All for a power grab. Gasps rippled. I'd cued the projector, emails blooming on the massive screen like damning graffiti. Chaos erupted, shouts, chairs scraping, Victor sputtering denials. I stood sentinel at Benjamin's side, hand on his back, grounding him as security swarmed. You're done, Benjamin thundered, voice echoing like judgment. Resign, or we drag this to the SEC. Victor crumbled, proxies scattering like roaches. The summit pivoted, Benjamin addressing the crowd. Raw and riveting. Betrayal comes in boardrooms and bedrooms. But love, that's the unbreakable code. Applause thundered, tears streaking faces in the front row. Backstage, we collapsed against each other, adrenaline crashing into sobs. I almost lost you, he choked, forehead to mine. Never, I vowed, kissing the salt from his lashes. That night, in our bed, we made slow, sacred love bodies a map of survival, whispers weaving promises. But emotion's tide pulls hard. Post-coup, Benjamin spiraled, therapy unearthed boyhood closets. Evelyn's lessons in performative manhood. He'd wake thrashing from dreams of disownment, clinging to me like a lifeline. I'd hold him through it, sharing my own scars. The barracks beating after a stolen glance, the discharge papers stained with unspoken grief. Our romance deepened in the therapy glow, date nights at jazz dives in Harlem. His head on my shoulder to Coltrane's wail, me teaching him to drive stick on empty back roads, wind whipping our laughter free. Humanity shone in the small salvations. Fan letters pouring in, not just ships but testimonies. Your story mended my broken coming out. We mentored at a youth center in the village. Benjamin funding scholarships. Me leading resilience workshops. It was American grit, flawed, fierce, forging light from fracture. Yet doubt's whisper persisted. One rain-lashed afternoon, Evelyn called, I've prayed, Benjamin. And I see it now. He's good for you. Redemption. Tentative. But Victor's ghost loomed. Lawsuits pending. His faction whispering sabotage. As summer peaked, heat shimmering off the pavement, I sensed the storm's return. Whatever comes, Benjamin said, lacing our fingers on the balcony. City sprawl our kingdom. We're the upgrade. Autumn circled back. Leaves turning like pages in a well-worn journal. But this time the chill carried promise. Not peril. Victor's empire crumbled. SEC probes gutting his proxies, Hailtech rising phoenix-like on integrity stocks, Benjamin hailed as the queer disruptor Wall Street needed. We settled into a rhythm. Mornings tangled in sheets, his alarm a gentle nudge before I'd brew coffee strong as my resolve. Publicly, we were the couple Met Gala arm in arm. Him in velvet tux, me in tailored leather, flashes immortalizing our unapologetic stride. Privately, deeper waters, arguments over his workaholic lapses, make-up sex that mended more than mended. The humanistic core emerged in the unscripted, volunteering at a Bronx shelter, Benjamin in rolled sleeves ladling soup, kids mobbing him for stories of the robot man, me, sharing marine tales minus the trauma, watching his tenderness bloom. Love wasn't fireworks now, but hearth steady, warming. We'd host game nights with Rosa and her crew, laughter echoing off exposed brick. Benjamin bested at charades, his mock scowl melting into grins. Betrayal's final echo faded with Evelyn's visit. She arrived with pecan pie and a rainbow pin, hugging me stiff but sincere. "Family's what we make it," she said over brunch, her drawl softening edges. We forgave, not forgetting humanity's grace in the gray. Online, the shipping softened too. Fans evolving from frenzy to fellowship, collabs with us on charity drops, their art adorning our fridge like talismans. Climax's shadow lifted, but emotion's depth plumbed new lows one crisp October dawn. Benjamin collapsed mid-run, stress fracture from ignored pains, docs diagnosing burnout's toll. Hospital sterile and stark. I held vigil, his hand limp in mine, monitors beeping accusations. "Don't leave me," I whispered to his fevered sleep, terror clawing, losing him to the empire he'd nearly sacrificed us for. He woke groggy, squeezing back. "Never. Loose. You're my reset button." Recovery was raw, him bedbound, me force-feeding smoothies, reading fan mail aloud till he'd chuckle through tears. "They see us," he'd say. "The real us." It reshaped us, boundaries etched, therapy a weekly rite. Romance reignited in convalescence. Candlelit baths, his fingers relearning my curves, drives to the Cape, windows down, Chris Stapleton crooning our anthem. We adopted that mutt, Olgo, a scruffy terrier mix, his wagging tail a daily reminder of joy's simplicity. The ending unfolded not in grand gestures, but quiet triumph. On our anniversary, 18 months since that first kiss by the fountain, Benjamin proposed, not with diamonds but code. A bespoke app, our algorithm, projecting holograms of our moments on the penthouse walls. "Marry me, Lucas. Let's debug the future together." On one knee, ring simple platinum, eyes brimming. I pulled him up, kissing fierce. "Hell yes, CEO. No tragedy, but no fairy tale gloss, just humanistic hope, scarred and shining." We wed in a Hudson Valley barn. Low-key, Rosa officiating in tears, Evelyn toasting with southern grace, fans live-streaming cheers from afar. Vows exchanged under string lights. In glitches and gold, "I choose you." The reception spilled into dawn dances. Olgo stealing cake, our laughter the truest upgrade. Years blurred. Hailtech thrived ethically, us mentoring the next wave queer coders, resilient vets. Kids came via surrogacy, 2 boys with Benjamin's eyes and my stubborn streak, raising them in a brownstone garden where love grew unchecked. Betrayals? Mere footnotes in a story of redemption. We drove still, me at the wheel, his hand on my knee, The road ahead, endless American highway. Horizons wide with what-ifs turned real. In the end, it wasn't the fans who blew us up. They assembled us, piece by loving pixel. We were the code that ran true, dramatic, emotional, romantic, forever in beta.